So with the main game now finished, I wanted to go ahead and make a quick little bonus video here to show off something I'm not going to be able to show off in full due to not being able to speak Japanese, but this is the sequel to Nanashi no Game Mei, which is that large red symbol in the back, means I. I'll explain what that is in just a little bit, but for right now, we're going to go ahead and go through some of these screens. They are exactly the same as in the first game, just setting up the audio and brightness levels, but there's some very noticeable changes right off the bat. We don't get a gender selection, instead we just get asked our name, and I have to put in something, so I'm going to give myself this symbol. I think it means ah, so I'll be constantly exclaiming. But secondly, it gives us an option to name our girlfriend. Yeah, the reason we're not given a gender option is because the story is more set in stone this time around. We can also name our best friend, but for the sake of this, they're just going to have the same name that they have for the actual story, which is Rin for our girlfriend and Yuto for our best friend. Speaking of our friends, guess what? We're speaking to them in the game because they are part of our party. That's right, it's no longer a single-player RPG, but we find ourselves in a RPG party going through a very familiar town. Yeah, this is the town of Verona, with a few slight differences, nothing too major. There's still, the four buildings, the four stores off to the right, or off to the different corners of the map, though you can tell the inn is a little bit different. But still, not too much has changed in Verona. Even the running tutorial NPC is still here to tell us how to run. But for right now, we can't really do too much in here. So what we have to do is just talk to this old man here, and he will let us off on our wonderful fantasy journey. Which seemingly takes us back to Tingen Famille, which you might recall is where Odaka lived in the first game. Now, we don't know initially why we are here. In this very starting chapter, the game takes a bit of a weird direction story-wise. It doesn't present a straight linear story right off the bat. But before we can really get to the story on the whole, we do have to go over the movement tutorial. It's very similar to the first game. You tap or hold the stylus on the center screen, you'll move forward. You hold down the corners of the stylus on the screen there, you can turn. Very similar. The movement is very, very similar to the first game. One of the key differences, though, is you can no longer do a fast turn. Instead, holding left or right on the D-pad will instead make you strafe, which is a bit disconcerting after having played the first game so much. But as before, we do have our TS UI, and just out of curiosity, you can go ahead and check the game to see if there's any differences, and there's no bench anymore from the first game. There's just this log cabin. Though it is a bit strange that we have lost our party members. I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean something, but for right now, well, there's not too much we can do. Though it is interesting to see that, yeah, in the original game, this was an English name on the door here. And I think it's supposed to be a reference to Clive Barker. But yeah, this is just to teach us how to interact with stuff, such as the wiggle garbage bag down here. But no, what we actually want to investigate here is, as you can probably guess, Odaka's apartment. Now, we can't just initially ring the bell for some reason. Instead, we have to investigate the door first, and it just automatically rings the bell. But considering that we get no answer, I guess that gives us full reign to just storm inside. But we are teleported 3 days prior to Nanto University, which is where our character Davey went to school with his friends Riko and Odaka. And from here we are introduced to our best friend Yuto. Now, I can't really say if the character models are a step forward or a step back. They are definitely more detailed, though a bit more unrealistic. But yeah, we are being told by Yuta about this, or Yuto. I'll never get his name straight, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure it's Yuto. But we're getting told by him about this great new game that he's found out about for his TS. He wants to know if we've played it yet, and well, I think we might be interrupting class. And say hello to... God, his hair is horrible, but this is our replacement for the dead Oyama. This is, I'm assuming, another professor of informatics at the university. But, God, his hair is just horrendous. He looks like a villain. I'm not sure if he is a villain, but, yeah, I'm sure we're having a great conversation about the game, and this is probably just a cut and paste of the discussion from the first game about games. But we are introduced to another character. This is Rin, our character's girlfriend. I guess a friend of Yuta's as well. We're all having a nice little discussion about games and informatics and just a lot of nonsense. Games are fun. Meanwhile, back in the future, we see that Odaka's apartment is very much in the same state it was that we left it in the first game, which, considering that the police were supposed to have been here, is a bit amazing. I think this game is supposed to take place roughly about maybe a month or maybe a year after the first game. I'm not exactly sure. Currently, right now, though, we are barred from exploring the apartment on the whole. We really have to, we're bottlenecked into the bathroom. And we can already see that there is a little bit of a graphic upgrade from the first game to this game. And we do see that maybe the police have cleaned up just a tiny bit. Though they seem to have maybe missed a few spots, namely in the toilet here. As with the first game, we are very much directed by sound. Though we have no idea where that water sound was coming from. So, as night has fallen on the town of Verona, we get an item. Apparently, I've gotten a little bit of help with understanding some of this game from Panzerskank. She said quite possibly there was a mention of Nanashi on that item in the chest there. I'm not sure what it is, but by talking to this specter, we are directed upstairs where we have a conversation with Ren, who is represented in the game here. Could be that this is some type of MMO experience. But the other character here is our friend Yuta, though he is having a little bit of a weird spell. a very violently odd spell. But yeah, Rin is concerned because we have just been murdered, and for her concern, she's murdered as well. Things very suddenly take a turn for the odd in the sequel here. We are back to the we are basically 3 hours before where we were in Odaka's apartment. I think it's earlier on in the day, and Rin is stating concern because our friend Yuto has not been attending class, which seems very coincidental and similar to what has happened to Odaka. So she's asked us to go investigate his apartment. And getting no answer, we just let ourselves in. Now, immediately we can kind of see that Yuto is not as affluent as Odaka is. His apartment is a little bit more shabbier. Also, most of the rooms are kind of blocked off to us. There's a few we can investigate, such as off to the left-hand side here. Though, on the whole, there isn't much of a reason to. I mean, I guess we could learn a little bit more about Yuto from this room. I guess he loves space. Or he's a 5-year-old. It's really hard to say. I mean, you could say that it's due to, like, graphic limitations, but as we'll see in a little bit, there has been some improvements. It's just... maybe he's just not a good artist. As we press further in, we do start to hear the game music. Distorted game music, and it yet again is our way to direct us where we need to go. But I was, I don't know what they're trying to get across with this. I don't know why he has a mobile and finger painting, but he's a modern day Japanese bachelor. Let's go with that. So you can probably guess where that sound is coming from in this very barren bedroom. Yeah, for that was our friend Yuta having a very violent reaction, and he's dead. He's very dead now. Somehow, though, we have managed to get a game download from Yuta. So, we've returned back to Nanto University to talk to Not Oyama and our pop-collared girlfriend, just to fill them in on whatever happened at Yuto's apartment there. But I'm more or less assuming they're just saying this is probably having to do with that cursed game, and they know all about this other guy that had to deal with the cursed game as well, so that explains why we have head to Odaka's apartment, probably to get some information regarding this cursed game. Yeah, nothing else of interest in the bathroom. Just more or less doing a few callbacks of sorts to the first game. Some of these scares will be pretty similar, but there are plenty of new things, such as our introduction to the email system. Instead of being Oyama, is our dead friend, Yuto. Not sure what he says here. I'm sure it's super spooky. But, yeah, we got an email from Beyond the Grave. And nothing too new in the main living room here. For right now, we're just looking around for any type of clues that Odaka could have left behind. Maybe those notes, but more interestingly, yeah, nothing new under there. Even the note that was there before is now gone. But this painting is the same painting for the first game, but it seems just much more highly detailed, and yet still very confusing. I have no idea why he has an attack cock on his wall, but it at least shows that there was some graphical improvements in the engine. Yeah, that was another returning scare from the first game. But yeah, there is no wiggle garbage bags in the kitchen anymore, and there's no holy water in the fridge. There's nothing really of interest there. But it is worthwhile to check out these side two rooms again. And not just for that very telegraphed jump scare. Really, for all the old things, it's the new things that really show an improvement. That's good. I love that. Just the continuing great usage of sound, and just very, very increasing tension. Still, it makes me wonder why we are seeing Asahi again. One would kind of assume that, maybe the good ending was canon, but yeah, the bad ending did have the game continuing to transmit around, and maybe that is what we're dealing with here. Still, we do get another email from our dead friend, and it seems to be quoting a poem, I think is what Panzer was telling me. I think it was supposed to be giving us a hint for a future puzzle, but not totally for sure. Still, as we find our way back into the back room where we found Odaka's drowned corpse in the first game, We do find possibly that the police might have wiped away the graffiti from before, but I think this is more of an indication that Asahi's story might not be what we're dealing with here. Amazingly enough, in the game we are not dead, though our party member, our girlfriend, has not fared too well. She is apparently dead. Not sure why our friend decided to kill her, but we are going to be at a loss to question him, as he has apparently been crushed under rocks? No, I'm not entirely sure. But he did seemingly leave behind a note, and this note is very important. Even though we can't read it, it is part of a clue for a little bit of a puzzle coming up very shortly. Still, as of right now, the town of Verona is mostly gone. And your first inclination is probably to assume that they've gone to the water festival, since it is nighttime, but there is a small problem with the water festival this time around. Yeah, the lake is dried up. No more healing, no more festival, no more drowning of effigies, so... And this guy is giving us yet another hint for the puzzle that's coming up very shortly. Talks about beginnings and starts and stuff like that. Basically, we needed the first letter of that note to use as a solution to this puzzle. But before we figure out the puzzle, there is this collectible, which is an evil game cartridge that says this is the 8th one, and as far as they've been able to figure out, there are 24 of these scattered throughout the game, but more importantly, this is Odaka, or at least an NPC named Odaka, or probably Odaka's trapped spirit. It's kind of hard to say. But he does have an odd request for us, which is a password. Now, to get this password, it's obviously going to be completely lost if you don't understand Japanese, but with Panzer Skank's help, she was able to tell me that the password that he wants is killing. And the hint that we got from that was from that note that we found beside our dead friend. Basically, the first symbol, or first letter from some of those phrases was supposed to be the letters we used to figure out this word. I don't know. It's a weird puzzle for this early on in the game. But as we have used the correct password, Odaka seems to think that that is the best solution to everything. Also, we get our eye ripped out and replaced with an evil cursed eye. Hey, it's the name of the game. Good times.